And I'm seeing all this shit on my IG under like some random picture of people being like, you took this kid's flow or whatever, right? So I'm just like, yo, what's happening to me right now? So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to read, like, figure out who they're talking about. I find out who they're talking about.
Is this the XXXtentacion guy?
I don't even think that's how you say his name.
Before X died, he said, if anyone is straight. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, these two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, before you guys, if anyone is straight, do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed them and talked to him? No.
Drake has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons since his feud with Kendrick Lamar unearthed some startling stories from his past. Beyond the allegations outlined in various documents, Drake has also been accused of lying about providing false information to Kendrick. Fans are now investigating Drake's alleged connection to XXXtentacion's untimely death. Before XXXtentacion passed away, he was dropping hints that seemed to warn everyone about Drake's shady actions, but these warnings were largely ignored. Recently, rumors have surfaced that Kendrick may have discovered some seriously incriminating evidence against Drake. Allegedly, XXXtentacion had the same footage and supposedly tried to use it to blackmail Drake. This entire situation is reminiscent of a movie plot, and diving into this rabbit hole reveals just how wild it is.
Knowing that about you. So this is a big moment for you. You're literally just getting out of jail. Okay. Really?
To give you some background, XXXtentacion was killed on June 18, 2018, during an apparent attempted robbery outside Reva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach, Florida. The young rapper, known for his influential music and tumultuous life, was only 20 years old at the time of his death. His murder shocked the music world and left fans grieving the loss of a promising artist. Despite his controversial reputation, XXXtentacion's death has continued to spark discussions and investigations into the circumstances surrounding that tragic day. Earlier that day, XXXtentacion stopped by Bank of America to withdraw some cash. After he left, things took a strange turn. Apparently, an SUV with 4 men inside, Kendrick Williams, Robert Allen, Michael Boatwright, and Traven Newsome, began tailing him. According to the police, Williams spotted XXXtentacion's vehicle and alerted the others, instructing them to check out the motorcycle dealership to confirm his presence. Around 3:30 p.m., XXXtentacion arrived at the dealership with his uncle. Security footage captured Allen and Williams following him right into the store.
XXX inside the dealership that day when at least one of the suspects walked past him. A short time later, the drama unfolded outside. 4 men in all are charged. One of them, Robert Allen, appeared in court this week asking to have his bond reduced.
About 30 minutes later, XXXtentacion left the dealership and got into his BMW. Suddenly, an SUV pulled up and blocked his car. Michael Boatwright and Traven Newsome allegedly jumped out of the SUV and approached XXXtentacion, demanding cash. Reports indicate that Newsome grabbed XXXtentacion's Louis Vuitton bag, while Boatwright allegedly took his chain. The situation escalated rapidly. XXXtentacion's uncle fled from the car, leaving him vulnerable. At that moment, Boatwright stepped back and fired 6 shots, according to surveillance footage.
Cameras captured the ambush of rapper XXXtentacion as he prepared to leave a Deerfield Beach motorcycle dealership last June. The cameras show a vehicle block the rapper's exit, and then men jump out of the vehicle and confront XXXtentacion. One of the men goes into his car. Then there's a confrontation and a robbery, and the men the talented young artist.
The trial began on February 7, 2023. prosecutor for the state opened by asserting they had surveillance footage and other compelling evidence to convict the 3 defendants. The courtroom was filled with anticipation as the prosecution outlined their case, promising to present a clear and detailed account of the events leading to XXXtentacion's tragic death. The trial was expected to be lengthy, given the high-profile nature of the case and the complex web of evidence and testimonies involved.
Robert Allen pleaded guilty. He will testify against his co-defendants. He is still looking at a possible life sentence, but hopes for less time. Surveillance video showed Allen outside of the motorcycle dealership on Dixie Highway in Deerfield.
Now, here's where the Drake connection comes in. Kendrick Williams' attorney, Mauricio Padilla, dropped a major bombshell during the trial. He claimed that the authorities did not thoroughly investigate whether Drake might have had some involvement in XXXtentacion's death.
You'll hear from witnesses that the defendant spoke to before, during, and after the homicide. You will also hear from law enforcement officers, several detectives and crime scenes that investigated this case. You'll get to see the evidence that was collected. You'll hear from the associate medical examiner who performed the autopsy in this case and will give you the determination that the victim died by way of homicide and the cause of death.
The attorney claimed he tried to get Drake to sit down for a deposition before the trial, but Drake was a no-show. He then escalated the matter by asking the court to issue an order to show cause, and the judge granted his request. But where did all this talk about Drake's involvement even come from? And how did Drake respond to being called in for a court-ordered deposition? It all traces back to the beef between Drake and XXXtentacion that began when XXXtentacion accused Drake of copying the flow from his song, Look at Me, and using it on the track KMT, which Drake debuted at a concert in Amsterdam in January 2017. In February 2017, XXXtentacion told XXL magazine that he would have appreciated if Drake had credited him instead of blatantly stealing his flow. At that time, XXXtentacion was behind bars facing 6 felony charges. He said that if Drake had given him a shout-out, it might have smoothed things over. He could have reached out to me personally and spoken to me, and it definitely would have been more respectable, XXXtentacion said. But he dropped that preview, and it sounded a bit like, look at me. He could be a huge help in this situation to get me out of jail because I'm facing life. Even though XXXtentacion claimed he wasn't holding any grudges against Drake, tensions escalated quickly. After XXXtentacion was released from prison, he began calling Drake out in interviews, fueling the ongoing conflict between the 2 artists.
It's like DJ Khaled said, you feel me? He made for, I'm made for.
So you in jail, he's supposed to contact your manager, and then what happened?
He dropped a video, a preview, and that Amsterdam with some from the UK. You know what I'm saying? He dropped the video. I was talking to my girl at the time, not the same. Got me arrested, different girl. Okay. I was talking to her at the time, and she was like, "Yo, listen to." No, actually, it was my dog Chris. I was on the phone with my dog Chris. He was like, "Yo, you gotta listen to this Drake." That's exactly what he said. Like this, you gotta listen to this. So he plays this. I hear da 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 my da. I'm like, what the? As soon as it started, like I knew he was getting that. And the funny thing is, we didn't discover it. The fan, like you said, the fans, because they're so cold. It's like, I got a piece of the internet. You feel me?
So they were saying that Drake was biting your style. That's what the fans were saying.
Yeah. Flow, hell yeah, bro. You could take his verse, like they did a mashup. They put his verse on my song, and the cadence is literally just at the same tempo. It's not offbeat at all.
So now, where do you guys stand? Like, what's good now?
I still think Drake. As a man, no, I'm keeping a blow raw. I still think Drake. Like, I think he's not a man. I think that's a move.
XXXtentacion also started trolling Drake on Twitter, photoshopping his face into Drake's family photo. He He even trolled Drake's mom on Twitter, saying, "Drake's mom is kind of cute. She could get it." XXX then went on an epic Instagram live rant, throwing shade not only at Drake, but at his entire OVO crew. This escalated the feud further, highlighting the animosity between the two artists.
I counterattack. Always counterattack. I don't initiate things. I always counterattack. Just like in this situation, no matter what anybody says, I didn't initiate. There's no off of my. Everybody knew he ran off of my. They just trying to tell me to basically be quiet. Bruh, nobody's gonna openly disrespect me and disrespect my craft when I'm 19 years old. That motherfucker, what is he, like 60? Like 65? Or isn't he? Didn't he get like surgery on his arms or something? Didn't he get like plastic surgery? Didn't you go see like Dr. 300 like 3 times? But what the you think I'm gonna let you take my not say nothing? You can suck my the whole team can suck my OVO. Tell OVO, everybody in OVO suck my.
But that's not all. During a chat with DJ Academics, XXXtentacion straight up said that Drake tried to sacrifice him. As for Drake, he initially kept quiet about the beef, seemingly taking the high road. He even later claimed he didn't know who XXXtentacion was before people accused him of copying his flow. However, things took a serious turn in February 2018, just 4 months before XXXtentacion's death. XXXtentacion dropped a bomb in an Instagram story, stating, "If anything happens to me, it was Drake. I'm snitching right now." XXXtentacion later claimed his account was hacked, but his defense lawyer brought up the Instagram story during the trial, alleging that the police never thoroughly investigated whether Drake had any involvement.
X died, he said, if anybody is Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, these 2 masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, before you guys, if anybody is Drake, do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed them, talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No.
By the way, XXXtentacion's fans also believe that several of Drake's songs reference the alleged plot against him. In I'm Upset, released just 1 month before XXXtentacion died, Drake raps, "X's SMS, triple X, that's the only time I ever shoot below the neck." Then on Mob Ties, he says, "Lou bags in exchange for body bags," which could be interpreted as a reference to XXXtentacion, who was carrying a Louis Vuitton bag when he was killed. Additionally, on the track Only You Freestyle from his joint album with 21 Savage, Drake seemingly makes yet another reference to his beef with XXXtentacion, saying, "Maybe I should break that 20 and do a 10. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again." This is pretty cryptic, but fans were quick to pick up on a possible hidden message. Drake drops the Roman numeral for 10, which looks like X, 3 times in a row. Fans thought this was a nod to XXXtentacion, especially since the next line hinted at Drake getting back at someone who dissed him on Instagram Live. So when the judge ordered Drake to sit for a deposition in XXXtentacion's trial back in February 2023, fans thought they would finally get some clarity on Drake's alleged ties to the case. According to court documents obtained by TANS, Drake was ordered to sit for a deposition via Zoom. If he missed that date, he had to show up in court in person. In case he ignored that order, the document said he could be charged with contempt of court. Out of all the things, this would make the most sense. Drake would have lost a lot of money if XXXtentacion was still alive. And I'm not even a fan of either of them. Drake needs to go, and anyone who disagrees is delusional. Another person added, Drake had XXXtentacion. Everything people have been saying about Drake stealing not only his flow, but other rappers' flow as well. You've got to remember, his whole life is a fraud. However, Drake has powerful connections, helping him succeed in his nefarious endeavors.
Still not clear what exactly is on this footage, but whispers are circulating that it's definitely something illegal, either freak-offs with underage women
Or do you think this is just another conspiracy? Drop your comments below and then check out this next music video.